Okay, I can see that people are joining the session. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you today. Let us wait a bit for all of the people to join us. Okay, I think we are quite ready to start. So let us roughly say good morning once again to everyone who joined the session. You are very welcome. And today we have a third webinar about Knovel. So that will be hands-on session. My name is Paula Mileska. I'm Customer Success Manager for Elsevier, working for Central Eastern Europe. And your trainer for today is Christian Vier. Hello, Christian.
Hello.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for being with us today for the training session. So Christian is our expert, global expert on engineering solutions and geosciences. So happy to give the floor to our trainer. And from me, just one information, you will receive the recording of this session, and I will also include the recording of all of the previous sessions as well. So you can go back and also learn more if you couldn't join us live in March and April. Don't worry about that. We will have all of the information coming your way. So, Christian, I think the floor is yours. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you very much for arranging this session, for inviting me, for also introducing me. Yeah, thank you, all of you, for joining today. We have almost 60 people on the call. That's fantastic. And if you, after the session, think it could be useful, so for somebody you know, could be a fellow student, another researcher, or even a whole course if you're a teacher, Paula said she will share the recording with you. So please feel free to forward it and make people aware that they have access to Knovel and they can use it. Today's session is hands-on, so it's not a traditional webinar in this sense. So we have them previously. So it's the third webinar out of this series of four. So the first one, we started with the very basic information around Knovel. Second webinar was more advanced functionalities. And now it's really about getting that into practice. So I will, of course, give you a few information points in the beginning, and then we dedicate ourselves more to workflow. So I will show a workflow, and then I will ask you to replicate this workflow in a slightly different way. So with different variables, for example, with different values. And if you like, you can participate, and then you can give the response. You can, again, replicate that workflow with the variables I give you, and then enter the results into the chat box. This is just to prepare you. So again, if it's too much for you, that's also fine. Just watch it. But I would really appreciate if some of you, maybe the ones who are a little bit more experienced, just go through the workflow with me. I'll try to give you enough time to then get active in Knovel to get the answers we are all needing together. Yeah, maybe also a good moment to introduce myself. So my name is Christian. As Paula already said, I'm a specialist for engineering and geosciences. And I will lead today's session. I'm doing this for more than 8 years now. I worked also heavily with the industry, so our corporate customers, since they also take advantage of our geoscience and engineering solutions. So chances are high that if you once graduate or you are already graduated and you still want to go into the corporate sector, that you will see our solutions again. That could be Knovel, that could be Engineering Village, but it could also be any other tool like Scope or Science Direct, and so on and so forth. So Knovel especially is used by many global engineering companies because they're just looking for a to-go point for their engineers. And we all know there's random information out there on the internet, and not always very reliable. And that's why they have access, and they want to really encourage students who are now already in their first, second, third year, encourage them to use these tools so they're also better prepared for their careers later on. Okay, if you want to get in touch with us, you're probably familiar with email addresses like mine here, but feel free also to reach out to Paula, and you will again get the recording. And if you have then questions, please let us know. We will start with a very short presentation, just a few details around the content of Knovel and what's new if you haven't if you didn't join our sessions before, and then we really go into the interactive workflows on the platform. This will take approximately 30 minutes, and if you have questions, we have time in the end for those questions, and we can then discuss all the things if you want to unmute yourself. But feel free to already add some questions into the chat box, and I will try to here and there have a break and have a look at those questions. Okay, then let's continue with a little poll. And if everything goes well, you should see a polling window open now. And what I would like to know is the following. Did you use Knovel before? And I give you three options here. No, I never used it before. So the second option is yes, I used it a few times, maybe project-based for your thesis, for example, or for a study project. And the third option is yes, I use it often. So for example, weekly and monthly. So that gives me a better understanding of your capabilities. So now let's see. I'll give it a few more seconds, but I can already see that most of you are first-time users. So and again, this is then more a hands-on session. If you feel overwhelmed, no problem. Take your time. You can watch the recording later and replicate these searches again. And for those who used it a few times, maybe you feel more comfortable to search along with me. So, okay, thanks. I will end the poll now. And I can also share the results with you. So most of you are indeed first-time users. So again, if something is unclear, just drop it into the chat box. I will pick it up from there, or watch the previous recordings for more basic information and also for the advanced functionalities. Great, fantastic. Thank you very much for participating. As a summary, specifically for those who are first-time users. So you know that Knovel is part of Elsevier. You see the Elsevier logo also on my slide here, but it's not only Elsevier content, so there's much more to discover. In total, we have more than 170 different content partners and societies, basically societies and also publishers on the platform. Biggest advantage for you, of course, you find information for all of those in just one platform with one search, ideally. You might recognize a couple of these logos here, like the IET, IChemE, AIAA, AICHE, Springer Nature, also since last year on the platform, Wiley, just to mention a few. But overall, you get the best from all these publishers then in just one platform. What you get is also full text. So everything on Knovel is available as full text. So if you find something, we won't send you away. You won't be linked out. You just get the full text in Knovel. And we're now at roughly 14,000 full text titles on the platform, to give you one more number here. And we're also extending our content areas. We're monitoring the market, also the hot topics, of course, and we added recently, and also last year already, we added content from around energy storages, fuel cells, for example, batteries, renewable energy technologies, sustainable manufacturing and technologies, process safety, additive manufacturing, circular economy, durability of materials, so the material sciences itself. AI, of course, very hot topic, data sciences, computer security, and packaging. And again, we keep on monitoring. We see a topic emerging. We will also focus on this to add more and more content for you. What's new on the platform for those who used it before? So we have designed a Knovel engineering newsfeed that's also available through Knovel now. So that really provides you access to engineering news articles that really help you to stay up to date on new developments in your field. This is really something you could use on a daily basis or even multiple times, because we update this news feed every hour and you get reliable information through this news field from all around the globe. Mentioned it, Springer Nature, since last year on the platform now, approximately 300 titles we have available, and again, all full text. Relevant for teaching and learning are those engineering overviews, and I will show you two also later to do that a little bit more hands-on, so you can bring yourself up to speed on a new topic rather easily through these engineering overviews. We have introduced new facets for the industry search, also based on user feedback. So if you're searching for very specific information around aerospace and defense, for example, chemicals, electronics, food and beverages, then you can also set the filter here on a specific industry that helps you, of course, and in the end to go through your set of results. Makes it much more manageable, because you know you will only get information from aerospace and defense, for example, and not from all the other industries. We have also introduced, sorry for that. We have also, we're making an effort also to provide you with the latest editions of titles here. And this could be, for example, an industry Bible like Paddy's Industrial Hygiene, 7th edition. And we, of course, make an effort also for other titles to always provide you with the latest edition. If you want to do something related to project management, that can be done through our resources around this topic, and you can just learn more about project management, or you can also decide that you maybe want to study for a project management certification like PMI, PMP, and Prince 2. Then you can, of course, get all these full text titles through Knovel, and you can, bring yourself up to speed. Speaking about project management, so the PMBOK guide is now available also in multiple languages, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Arabic, Portuguese, and Russian, and many, many more titles we will make available in different languages. And you will see that later also in the platform that we support multiple languages, not only English. So most of the content is still in English, but again, more and more the titles will appear in different languages here as well. It's also not a new tool, since many of you just maybe this is the first contact with Knovel. It's not a new tool. It's been around for many, many years, 25 in total. So it's not a startup product that will disappear at some point again. We are heavily used in academics, corporates, and also the governmental sector. And you see what started as a proof of concept here in 2001, developed now into a global solution with roughly 14,000 full text titles. Last slide to come now, and we're good on time. And then we go into the platform. No, actually, we still want to watch a video together, and then we go into the platform together. Since many students still relying on information from Google, I also wanted to share you a quote from a research engineer we got a while ago, and I think that's really something that is very relevant these days. He told us that in Knovel, you do the same thing you do with Google, but in Knovel, you know, it's exact something you can trust. Sometimes you find things on the internet you cannot trust. This is the big difference. So keep that in mind. Not everything out there on the internet you find through Google is the truth. Seriously question the information you find there. And if you find something, come to Knovel and try to vet it there, see if it's really something you can use. Okay, are we ready for a little video to show how to use Knovel in the classroom? So then please lean back and relax. I will start a video tutorial now and show you how Knovel is used in the classroom. And we will start, and I will be back in 4.5 minutes.
This semester, your class is working through designing a bike. Your current assignment is to choose the material for the bike frame and provide the reasons why this particular material was chosen. Your professor recommends you consider the following during the assignment. What are the common types of materials used in bike frames currently? What properties are important for material used in a bike frame? What is the cost of those materials? What is the sustainability of the materials used? Starting a search in Knovel to find what types of materials are used in bike frames, searching bicycle materials provides an interesting set of results. Reviewing the first few results, you find some information about the common materials used. In Material and Design, the Art and Science of Material Selection in Product Design, Section 634 says, the requirements here are primarily mechanical strength and stiffness to be achieved at low weight and acceptable cost. In 541.1, Bicycle Materials Trade-offs, the author says, steel, aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber all strive to achieve these criteria, but each differs in strength, stiffness, weight, fatigue resistance, corrosion, etc. Further, the author provides an interesting chart of each material and its advantages. Further research confirms the common materials used are steel alloys, aluminum alloys, titanium alloys, and carbon fiber. Each material meets the basic requirements but has trade-offs for stiffness, strength, durability, flexibility, and weight. Using Knovel's material property search, each material can be measured against one another by finding a material property to represent each. Starting with a material, you can find properties and values for each of the requirements. This allows you to compare how each material performs across the different requirements. To consider cost, using the previous keyword search bicycle materials, the title Materials Selection in Mechanical Design 3rd edition includes an interactive table which puts the weight of different materials against their expense. With this graph, you can plot points that show the approximate weight of the material versus its cost. Helpfully, the graph includes areas showing where typical bike materials appear. Final consideration should be given to the sustainability of the materials used. All have trade-offs. Focusing on the life cycle of a material and the energy necessary to initially manufacture and then recycle a material, a search in Knovel on life cycle aluminum alloys provides a graph showing similar materials used in the automotive industry and their energy costs. An example of the trade-offs, the energy cost to use aluminum alloys is high, but the material itself can be recycled multiple times. With carbon fiber, the energy cost is low, but it cannot be recycled. With the information gathered from Knovel, a material can be chosen and the reason provided. Which would you choose?
Okay, also for those who never seen Knovel before, now you already have a good idea how it can be used in the classroom. If you would like to watch this video again, or you just want to recommend it to somebody else, I will give you a URL into the chat box. So it's there. And it's the URL to our LibGuides. So also if something is unclear with regards to Knovel, you can come back here and we will explain you what are your options with Knovel, what is Knovel, how to get started and how to get access, how to use Knovel, how to save and share, for example. And on that tab, what is Knovel, all the way down, there are 2 links to video tutorials. And one is how to design a bicycle and the other one is how to do a chemical engineering project with Knovel. Feel free to watch them again and share them with your network if you think this is of added value. Now it's time to go into Knovel. So in case that you are within the IP ranges of your institution and you have access, then you can take the link from the chat box. It's app.knovel.com. Could very well be that you have to follow the authentication instructions on your library website. So again, you would typically get access through your institution. That could be most of the times the library of your institution. And if you're within the IP ranges, then, or if you have already access, then you can take the URL now in the chat box. And I also highly recommend you log yourself in the right upper corner. You see my name appearing here, and if it tells you sign in, you can take an existing username from ScienceDirect, Scopus, Cyber, Reaccess, for example. So there's no need to create a new password and username if you already have a password and username with Elsevier. So you can just reuse that one. I'll give you a few seconds for that as well. Because if you're logged in, you can really take advantage of all the functionalities of Knovel. So first things first, rather easy. So you go to Knovel if you have access to it. You log yourself in, and what you see should be rather similar to what you see on my screen here. So the very first exercise should familiarize you with the search of Knovel. And you see we have a search box here. And it also states here, search Knovel for reference data, graphs, tables, equations, and so on and so forth. And it's really that easy. You just enter a couple of keywords in here or just one keyword, and then you can start searching. And this is also what we want to do right now. So in my example, I want to, for example, get information around the energy transition. So I click in here and I start typing energy transition. And you can also, of course, use Boolean operators in here if you like. But now for this example, we keep it very easy. We just type in energy transition and we can hit enter. Or we move here to the right side and click on that little magnifying glass. And this way we can now search. So this is how easy it is. It's just really typing something into that search box. And then in the next step, you already get your results. And what do we see here now? We see many, many results. So in my subscription, I get more than 6,300 results for this search for energy transition. And what does that include? So we see we have books, case studies, chapters, conference papers, conference proceedings, dictionaries, encyclopedias, graphs, regulatory information, and tabular information. Now, this is just one filter set for the content type. We can scroll further down and we see also for filters for related engineering concept, for example, or for the industry, as I mentioned earlier, or by date or by author. And really depending on the boxes you check, for example, I'm only interested in the books here. So I check the box for books and I apply this filter. And I see I've now 85 results, as also it states here behind books in the filter set. And 85 titles dealing with the energy transition in here. Or I can clear that again. And if I want to see, for example, on how many tables are available around this topic, I go down to tables and I see 133 tables give me information around energy transition. What that exactly is still to be figured out, but it's not part of this exercise. And we see we have 5,613 chapters available. And this is something I highly recommend to you to filter down on chapters, not necessarily only on books, because you do not always need to read a full book in order to get the information you need. So that's why it's very handy to click here, the chapter level, add more keywords, for example, and then filter really down on what you're looking for. And you get then only filters, chapters that can help you reading information around the energy transition. And again, we need to add more keywords here or go more into the filters. So we see here 5,613. So it is then time for the next, or for the first exercise, actually. Just allow me one more second. I need to go to the presentation. And I want you to get active now. So the very first thing we want to do is, and I share my PowerPoint presentation again. So you go to the chat box and pick the URL for Knovel. So this is the right slide. And what I want you to do is now to do your own search, but for the keyword circular, sorry for that, economy. So we see that here. So we now search for energy transition. Now I want you to go into Knovel with the link from the chat box, the second one I gave you, or through your library, so you get access to Knovel if you have access. You type in circular economy into the search box and you search, and then you filter on chapter, and you please let me know on how many chapters you get for circular economy. Yeah, so go into Knovel, take the link from the chat box for that, for example. Then you type in circular economy into the search box and you filter on chapters. And I want to know how many chapters are available for the search term circular economy. Yeah. And if you have the result, just paste it into the chat box. And I give you 1 minute time for that. Take your time, huh? And the counter is now running down. And I see the first results already. And don't worry, if you don't have the exact number as the others, they might have different types of subscriptions, because Knovel is modular. So different subscriptions provide different kind of results. But also my point not here is to get always the same result. It's more like motivate you to start searching on Knovel and then use the filter for the chapters. Great, I see many results here. Fantastic, thanks. For 10 seconds left, and then we have a look at the results. Wonderful, time is up, and I will switch back to my, oh, that's not it, to my browser. And again, what I wanted you to do is you go into the search box here and just type in circular economy. Then you hit enter or take the little magnifying glass, sorry for that. Oh, then we try again. Circular economy, and we use. I have absolutely no idea why I'm not getting any results here. So let's try again. Need to look myself in. So for energy transition, we get the results. I will try again. Circular economy. Research. I guess it was a temporary glitch. Okay, so my point was here, okay, you search for circular economy, you see the chapters here, you can filter down the chapters, you get a preview, you get 757 results in my subscription. Again, it's perfectly fine if you have different results. I have a demo version, I have really access to everything, also experimental things. You have a different subscription, but that's not the point. You basically apply it and then you get more than 750 results in my subscription, and you could still then enter other keywords here if you like and filter further down. And then if you would like to open some things, bear with me now, then you just click here on a chapter and you want to see this chapter and read this chapter, just click on here and feel free to do that along with me now. Click on here. And then the next step, we go into the reader, as you've probably seen also in previous recordings now, and then you can start reading in here. Again, everything is full text in here and you won't be linked out. You can just start reading, for example, now here, a circular materials economy, and start reading about this topic. Yeah, and if you want to go back, you can always use the browser navigation and you go back to your results. And then the next step, you go maybe into the second result because you want to review it. And again, you go into the full text, and this is how you could work with it. There are other functionalities like saving, citing, downloading, and share in the right upper corner. This is not something that we want to do today, but it is there. Feel free to discover it on your own. But again, thank you for all of you who pasted their results into the chat box. Good to see that you are with me. Okay, so this is just then a regular Knovel search. We go and discover now the property search in the next step. So we can access the property search through the toolbar here on the left-hand side, for example, or here right to the Knovel search. I usually go with the toolbar here on the left-hand side. And here we can discover materials and substances with certain properties. And in my example, I want to get information around a chemical. It's called octafluoropropane. And we can just write that down, but we can also add CAS numbers here if you like. And you see that also, or formulas, and Knovel will understand that language. So in this case, I just type in C3F8. So you can do the same thing, because in the next step, I will also ask you to do a little exercise with it. So C3F8 in the material substance, in the material property search. We click enter. And we get, as a result, 175 tables and graphs. Now, I want to have specific information around the vapor pressure of octafluoropropane. So I'm moving here to the property search on the right-hand side, and I'm typing vapor pressure into that box here, into that filter box. And I drag and drop vapor pressure now from the right-hand side here in the middle, and I drop it. So that's all I have to do. And I can be very specific now if I like, but in our example, it is enough that we have now C3F8, the vapor pressure here, and this way we design our search query. Let's have a look at the 8 tables and graphs results now. So we click on the button, and then the next step we see our results. So we can now go through our results here, and in my case, I chose the data set of the second result. It's table 12, vapor pressure for organic compounds from YORS, critical property data for chemical engineers and chemists. And I want to open it. So I click here on view list of graphs. And in the next step, I will get to octafluoropropane. But again, this is just the data set I was now looking for. This table contains 7,800 rows, so much more. So I can also remove the limitation of octafluoropropane here and see all the other substances in here as well. For our example, we want to now, we get now all the information we want to have here, the CAS number, for example, the molecular weight, temperature, vapor pressure, and so on and so forth. But what we want to do is we want to open the equation plotter. Click once here on the equation plotter. on the left-hand side in that data set. If that all went too fast, I give you the URL right away into the chat box so you can pick it up from there right now. So you are at this graph now. So what we want to do first is we want to change the units. And we have the X unit, so that's the temperature. And we see here, we want to use it, we don't want to use Celsius in this case, we want to use Fahrenheit. And we want to also change the vapor pressure, the Y unit, and we want to change the to PSI. Yeah. And now we can also decide whether we want to see the scale linear or logarithmic. So we can also play with that. Feel free to do that as well. And then we can also hover over the graph here and try to get the data we want. For example, we are interested in the vapor pressure at 120 degree Fahrenheit. So we would go in here and try to get to the 120, 119. You see, it's not that easy to get the right point here. So, but I kind of have it now. And on the left-hand side here in the lower corner, we see now the data point I just added to our graph. It's at 119.98, so not exactly 120. Now, you can do that. It's obviously not very precise. Maybe for your purpose, it would be okay, but we can also be very precise, and we can also add these data points here. And if we now go into that box here for the x-axis and we add here 120, then we have now calculated here in the next step the vapor pressure in PSI for 120 degree Fahrenheit. And we see it's 235.657. Now, I hope that you're still with me. I will talk you quickly through because in the next step, what I did, because in the next step, I want you to get active with the graph. So the very first thing I did is you can pick the URL from the chat box. So you will end up here. You go into the unit and you change the X unit from Celsius to Fahrenheit. The next thing is you go to the Y unit and you change it to PSI. So in theory, it should look like X unit F and Y unit PSI at you. For the rest, you don't have to do anything. Now we added this point here at 120, and we have now calculated our vapor pressure. So if you're here, I want you to do the next little exercise. I will share my slide deck again with you. Just 1 second. There it is. And since you're already in here, play from current slide, I want you to do the following. So that. Please do the following. We want to calculate the vapor pressure in PSI of C3F8 at 130 degree Fahrenheit. So not 120 as I did, now 130. So, and feel free to take advantage of the link I just added into the chat, the last one. Make sure you have the right units. Make sure you're working with degree Fahrenheit and with PSI. And then you add the point at the 130 degree Fahrenheit. And I would like to know the vapor pressure and PSI now. Yeah? A little bit more complicated than the first one, but I'm confident that you will be able to calculate. So again, make sure you take not Celsius, but Fahrenheit and pressure PSI, and then you just add the point at 130 degree Fahrenheit. And the time is running now. Oh, I see results. Perfect. Great. And again, if this is too much for now, feel free to try again after this session or watch the recording one more time. So we still have 30 seconds left. Can take the link from the chat box, change the units to degree Fahrenheit and to PSI at the point at 130 degree Fahrenheit, and let me know what the vapor pressure and PSI is. 5 seconds left. Nice. Thank you very much for participating. The time is up. And I see many good results here. So, but I want to talk you through it again. Okay, so you took the link from the chat. You went into the X unit, you changed it to degree Fahrenheit instead of degree Celsius. The Y unit to PSI. And then you go down here to the X-axis and you entered the value for 130. And indeed, I saw many good results here. We see further down 267.718 PSI. So this is the vapor pressure correctly calculated. Now, next step would be to save, to export, and you get two files here. You get the graph if you want to present it, for example, in the next lecture, for example, as JPEG, PNG, or GIF, and you get the data as HTML, Excel, or CSV, or even as text if you like. Yeah, and as soon as you see an equation plotter in Knovel, you will have these type of functionalities. Okay, well done. Thank you very much. Property search, check. So we started again with a normal search. Property search we did now, so you know that already. Next thing is equations. In the toolbar here on the left-hand side, click once on equation. And then go to equation home. And this is the overview on all the equations that are available on Knovel. Just takes a second to load for me here. And now you can go through the equations here and just browse around. So we have more than 3,000 on the platform, for example, chemistry and chemical engineering. And you can just go through here and find the information, the equation you like. Or another way would be you start searching on Knovel again. In this case, we want to search for Antoine equation. So you just type in Antoine equation. And then there's also a filter for the equation in your results. So you click on that equation filter and you apply it. And then we also have the Antoine equation listed here. So there's two ways to go there, either through the equations and you just browse and see if you find the equation of your choice, or you search and then you use the filter and you are at the Antoine equation. Now, again, here we get an introduction into the Antoine equation. An equation that describes the relation between vapor pressure and the temperature for pure compounds. And it's derived from the Clausius-Clapeyron relation, and we can have a look at the equation here. So if we would like to work with it, we open the worksheet. And it could also very well be that it went all a little fast for you. So I will give you the URL again. So the next URL is then for this worksheet. So you can pick it up from there. But again, you would just search for Antoine equation and then set the filter and open it. Now, everything is basically already set here. So we get, again, the introduction into the equation itself, the legend with variables and units, and also, yeah, the pressure in Pascal, and the calculation here. And now we can just go in here and change the variables. And in this case, we see we have the temperature, in this case, TI, set to 120. And we see our result here in kilopascal further down, the pressure. Now, what we can do here is we can really just click on these variables. And I change now my temperature from 120 degrees Celsius to 110. And I click enter. And you've seen at the same moment, my result will also change here. Same counts, you click again. Maybe my temperature is down to 100. And my result will change. Oh, it's not down to 0. Sorry for that. 100. So this is how easy it is. Now, in my next example, I want you to open again this equation worksheet for the Antoine equation. Again, you can follow the instructions I just gave you, or you can take the link in the chat box, the last link that I added here. And I want to share now my slide deck again. And in this example, we will get into action with the Antoine equation. So just open the Antoine equation in the Knovel equation solver. So what we want to know is the pressure P if you change the temperature to 130 degrees Celsius. So it's not 110 or 100, what I just showed you. You just click in on the 120 and you change it to 130 degrees Celsius. And I would like to know the result, the pressure for 130 degrees Celsius. Yeah? Wow. Got the first result. Fantastic. Okay, I give you the 60 seconds, 1 minute. So yeah, again, change the temperature from 120 to 130 degrees Celsius and let me know the result. So if you see one of the results here, great. 20 seconds left. And again, we have over 3,000 different equations on the platform. Feel free to try them all if you have the time. Great, time is up. And we go back into the equation sheet. So again, we searched for the Antoine equation. We opened that worksheet. You could have taken the link from the chat box and you click here on TI. 130, I said. I see many of you have the right result. Perfect. Thank you very much for participating. And this is how easy it is with most of our equations. You can also try to set up your own equations with the little helpers here on the left-hand side. Really up to you. And again, here you have the options to save it in a Knovel or to download it in different formats if you like. Next thing, we're running a little bit out of time here. We go to more tools and we will open the Steam calculators. Again, under more tools, Steam calculators. And I will give you the URL also in the chat box right away. So you can also take it from there. Also, if you search for water and steam, for example, on Knovel, you will be prompted with these calculators. And what we want to do here is the following. We want to calculate this transport properties for water and steam. So again, we have 8 of these calculators. We're dealing with the one for the transport properties here. I hope you're still with me. Transport properties, and what we want to do now is we want to change the pressure here. We have now 1 Pascal. We want to change it to, first of all, to megapascal. 10 megapascal. We are taking for our example here. That's a point. And we want to take the temperature and we want to work with, not with Kelvin, we want to work with degrees Celsius. And we want to set it to 300 degrees Celsius. And we want to calculate. And further down, we have our result already. So now we set the pressure to 10 megapascal, temperature to 300 degrees Celsius. Now we immediately calculated the specific volume, the specific isobaric heat capacity, the specific isochoric heat capacity, and also the speed of sound at 922.76 meters per second. This is rather a simple example, as I would say, because we have many other of these calculators, 8 in total. Feel free to test them all if this is of added value for you. In my next example, I also want you to take the transport properties calculator and want to get into action again. So please take the Steam calculator, so the link, either through Knovel, you click on more tools and then open the Steam calculator, or you take my link from the chat box and then you take the calculator for the transport properties and you enter your values. So you will also enter 10 megapascal. And I just entered 300. I would like you to enter 350 degrees Celsius. And please tell me what the speed of sound in meters per second is at 10 megapascal and 350 degrees Celsius. And I give you another minute here. Wow, you are fast. So very active. Fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you very much for participating. I had also other sessions where there was very little feedback and I'm thinking, am I doing something wrong here? So, but nice that you're also with me. Perfect. Again, Steam calculators is also something that is at your service. So of course, alternative, you would have to go through a huge spreadsheet or a table to get all these data. So we have these calculators available and you can take advantage of those. 20 seconds left. Ten seconds, and then I quickly show you. And then we move to our last example already. Fantastic, time is up and I will show you. Okay, again, we are here at transport properties. Where is my mouse? Here it is. You can enter those Steam calculators at more tools. Again, Steam calculators, or you just search for water and steam, and they will also be in the results. Change the pressure from 10 megapascal or from 1 Pascal to 10 megapascal. You change the temperature to 350, and we have speed of sound in meters per second at 534.545. All results are correct. Fantastic. Thank you very much for participating. Last example, as we have only 6 minutes left, I wanted to introduce you to the following. Click on Browse, and on, no, we do it a different way. We click on the little house here on Knovel, and we go all the way to the beginning. And we have now here the central box that tells us Knovel is 25 years old. But we have also these dots where we can switch to engineering overviews. And we have one here for hydrogen energy, for mechatronics, for engineering ethics. And if we want to see all of them, we click here on Explore More Topics. And here we have many of these overviews. And I want to give you one. Making sense of data. I think that's a very relevant topic these days. And making sense of data with Python, machine learning, and other tools. So you see that you have a little introduction to this topic. You get also the top industry searches here on the right-hand side, and also the trending research around data sciences, data mining, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. So everything is clickable here. So if you want to see something around machine learning, just click on machine learning and you get the relevant results on Knovel, like machine learning with ARM, the first result here, for example. If we go back, then we can also again click on everything here. But what I wanted to show is the newly released sections, because this is kind of a reading list we recommend to you. And if you want to then read, for example, about applications of big data and artificial intelligence and smart energy systems, it's just clicking here on read, and then you go into the table of contents and you can read the whole title here. Okay, we have many of these engineering overviews, and I will give you the link now to see them all, if that was all a little bit quick. So you click on, again, you can start from the Knovel homepage. On Knovel 25, there are little dots here you can click, and here's a button for explore more topics. And I copy that also now into the chat box. Feel free to pick it up from there. And I just chose the making sense of data. So you can click on it and then you get this overview and you can click yourself through and start learning about making sense of data. Okay, last exercise for today. And it's the following. So we want to do together the following. So we don't want to go to making sense of data, but we want to go to the topic page, to the engineering overview for energy transition. So pick the link from the chat box and navigate to the one for the energy transition. And what I want to know is on how, or no, what is the first title on the topic page, energy transition under newly released. So what I just showed you basically for the making sense of data, I want you now to do for energy transition and tell me the first title under newly released. So you use the link from the chat box, then you pick the topic page energy transition and you scroll down to the relevant section, what would be newly released. And I see results coming in. Anyway, I give you another minute. Then I quickly show you, and that's then already the last thing we can do today, because the hour is almost is basically over, man. Time really flies. But thank you very much for participating. I see a lot of good results. Excellent, really excellent. So we have 20 seconds left. And I see also a question already. Are psychometric charts and calculations available from Vincent? Vincent, I highly recommend you run a search on Knovel and see if that particular thing you're looking for is already available or not. And otherwise, you can always reach out to me and we can take that offline after this session. So I need to go back now into the user interface here. Again, we have engineering overviews, and I wanted you to go to the one for the energy transition. It's here. And if you scroll down again, you get a good overview on everything that is available on energy transition. And the newly released title again is Biofuel Cells, Materials and Challenges. Maybe also something that is interesting for you. Yeah, we did the hour is over. So if you have questions, you have my email, you can contact me and we can take that offline. Furthermore, I would like to thank you for your time today. I hope it was useful. Also, that interactive session, so you had to do something. So it's not listening to me for an hour, just telling you things. I think it's a good concept, and please let us know if you like to see more. And with that, again, I want to thank you and Have a good day. Take advantage of Knovel if you have access to it. It can really provide you with high quality information. Paula, is there something that you still want to add at this point? Because
Yeah,
otherwise,
I just want to say thank you very much, Christian, for being our trainer for today. And we have one upcoming session. So just a reminder to everyone, till the end of the week, you will receive email from me, and there will be all of the information. So materials after this workshop and invitation for upcoming last webinar in this webinar series. Thank you, guys, again, and I'm really glad to see a lot of activity and engagement from the participants. It's really nice to see that it's just something that is helpful for you all. Thank you so much. See you on the next session.
thank you very much. See you in the next session. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.